which would be called gametes, which when united start the process of forming us. The whole purpose of this is to preserve the species. And it is a very complicated process in somewhat of a complicated system. So I'd like to begin with the male. I've done some drawings on the board which correspond to this model here. Okay. And if you take a look at this model, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, okay, until you get to something called the seminiferous tubule. And the seminiferous tubule is where sperm are made, okay, and they're made by going, this is the wall of the seminiferous tubule. They start near the outside of the wall and end up as what we know the sperm to look like on the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. Now, even though it looks like a sperm, it's not viable yet. It's alive, but it's not motile. It cannot move its flagellum yet. And it's not going to be able to do that until ejaculation, and it joins with some of the secretions of other glands that are part of the male reproductive system. So let's take a look here. We have a number of layers, okay? So the outside would be, if you look at the board, the skin. The next layer would be the dartos muscle, okay? And you can see it going up into what would be called the spermatic cord. The next layer isn't really seen very well, superficial fascia. We do see a separation here, so that would represent the cavity. And then this area here that surrounds the testi proper is going to be the tunica vaginalis, and then these lines that divide it into lobules are going to be the tunica alberginea. The tunica alberginea. Okay? Now, within each lobule is a seminiferous tubule. They lead to this area here, which would be the rete testi, okay? And then to this area here, which is the epididymis. Now, the epididymis is where the sperm mature. Even though they're maturing, again, they're still not motile. And they are going to go from the head of the epididymis, the body of the epididymis, the tail of the epididymis, and into something called the vas deferens. Now, this is the testi proper, and then this here is the epididymis. So the sperm are going to travel down this way, make a U-turn. Once they start going back up this way, they are now in the vas deferens, and they are going to do that during ejaculation. Okay? The muscles, the dartos and the cremasteric, do a number of things. When they contract, they raise the testi, bring it closer to the body. When they relax, they bring it further away from the body. Sperm, in order to be viable, have to be 2 degrees Fahrenheit less than body temperature. And that's why they're in a scrotal sac, and that's why they are away from the body. If they are too close to the body for too long a period of time, the sperm are not viable, and that could be a cause of impotence. So the scrotum will raise or lower, and guys know that when they jump into cold water. Okay, the scrotal sac contracts, bringing the testes much, much closer to the body. Now the vas deferens, another name for the vas deferens or the ductus deferens, is going to travel upwards in the spermatic cord. The spermatic cord is going to contain the blood vessels, the gonadal blood vessels, and the nerves to the testes. And it is going to enter the body cavity and then go lateral and then posterior to the bladder. Once it goes posterior to the bladder, here's the vas deferens, okay, going like this. It's joined with the seminal vesicles. And it is the fluid from the seminal vesicle that makes the sperm motile. So at ejaculation, sperm is going to mix with fluids from the seminal vesicle, from the prostate, and there is another gland. Okay, let me get this in here correctly. There's another gland in here, which is the body cavity's exit, okay? This is the urogenital membrane. There's another gland in here called Cowper's or the bulbourethral. And that gland will also mix, but that gland is secreted before ejaculation to buffer the acid, since this is now a shared system. This is now part of the urinary tract, okay, and as a consequence has uric acid in it, and that pH is not good for the sperm. So the joining of the vas deferens at the ampulla, the enlargement, and the seminal vesicle occurs inside the prostate, that's this gland here, at the ejaculatory duct, which then joins with the prostatic urethra, goes through the membranous urethra, and into the spongy urethra for the corpus spongiosum. And then remember, that's the corpus cavernosa. Okay? So at ejaculation, cremasteric dartos muscle are contracting, sperm is being forced up the ductus deferens, cilia and a peristaltic action, much like in the intestines, starts bringing it into this area. It joins with the secretions of the seminal vesicle, starts to become motile. It joins with the secretions of the prostate gland. There it's going to get more buffering for the female tract, as well as gain some things like citrate and fructose. Sperm are very, very active. They're going to have to make a journey from the vagina to the uterus to the fallopian tubes. Now, they're microscopic organisms, and that's a long distance. They're going to have to use an awful lot of energy to do that. Fructose can get into cells without insulin, and fructose can be used for energy just like glucose. Within the sperm are nuclear material, a centriole, a flagella, and mitochondria, and tons of mitochondria. So the fructose and the citrate, for that matter, which is part of the citric acid cycle, are what's going to provide the energy for the sperm to make the trip. Okay? So once again, we have a number of layers. Okay? We have a number of layers. And we'll look at here, here, and here. Okay? So this would be the scrotum. Okay? There should be the dartos muscle. There should be cremasteric muscle, so that would be part of the spermatic cord. There should be a cavity between the testi proper. The outside of the testi is going to be covered with the tunica vaginalis, so that cavity would also have tunica vaginalis there. The indentations are going to be the tunica alberginea, into lobules, into seminiferous tubules, into rete testi, and into the epididymis. Head of the epididymis, body of the epididymis, tail of the epididymis. Vas deferens or ductus deferens, either one, in the spermatic cord. Continuation of the vas deferens, lateral and then posterior to the bladder, where it joins with the seminal vesicles and becomes one tube called the ejaculatory duct in the prostate gland. The ejaculatory duct joins with this prostatic urethra into the membranous urethra, where we would find Cowper's or the bulbourethral gland, into the spongy urethra for the corpus spongiosum of the penis. The penis has a glans, an enlarged part, a body or shaft, and a root. Okay? Learn that, and then we'll work on the female reproductive system.